God night, Shalom. I'm going to start off with giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashim Yashai Bashim Kakadash, the one who else and apostle of great millstone. Shalom to the whole elect. Hope this video will be edifying, and let's get into it now. Topic that I want to be talking about today is concerning Sirach 16, right? Because I saw this video on Twitter. Sadly, I can't find it anymore. I tried to find it before making this video, right? But I didn't bookmark it, so I didn't find it anymore. But basically, what the video contained was a bunch of young Jakes, right? Female, Eve, right? Bunch of Eve females. And they were like, I believe they were like middle school, like 12 to 14, 15. And they were all smoking in the bedroom, man. Just smoking weed in the bedroom. No, not smoking, Salakia. They were drinking in the in the bedroom, man. You know, before going to school. So it was in a school bedroom. They were like taking shots. You know, shots of liquor and stuff like that. Now, there's nothing wrong with drinking alcohol, right? But first of all, there's a time and place, you know, and especially women shouldn't be drinking at that age, man. You know, you shouldn't be drinking at that age. You know, especially now. Like, look back in the days, it was a different story, right? But nowadays, you can't drink that age, man. You know, because you don't know what's out there. You know, you don't know what's out there, man. You being sloppy, just sloppy drunk, you know, and you young. You know, we living in Esau society, man. You know, but this what happens when you don't train up your child, man. You know, before school starts, before you so-called learn something, right? Start drinking shots. You know they don't have a bright future, man. If you're already taking shots before school, hell, I didn't even do that shit, man. You know, drinking shot. I didn't start drinking until I was like what, 19? Anyway, let's get some scripture. So this Sirach chapter 16, verse 1. Desire not a multitude of unprofitable children, neither delight in ungodly sons, right? Don't delight in them, man, because there's no point in having children that are not trained up right, that are not instructed right. You know, it's like it's not what was the word that I just said? It's like it's not important. You know, they are not important. You know, it's a waste, basically. So desire not a multitude of unprofitable children, right? Don't desire it, man. Children that will be unprofitable for you because they're wicked pieces of shit. Don't desire having much children and they are unprofitable, basically. So if you make a lot of children, or if you have a lot of children, make sure you instruct them the right way, man. Your sons as well as your daughters, especially your daughters, especially nowadays, man. You know, instruct them right how to live life according to Yahweh Shai. You know, though they multiply, rejoice not in them, except the fear of the Lord Yahweh Shai be with them, right? So if you, as long as they fear Yahweh Shai, then you can delight in them. But if they don't, you know, they do shit like I just named, for example. That's like well, that's not a sin, right? What they did. Drinking wasn't a sin. That's not a sin, but that behavior, you know, being shameless, you 12 years old, 13, 14 years old, drinking, taking shots in the bathroom, you know, 12 years old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, you know, don't even know how to wash your behind correctly. Like back in the days, it was different. These children were being taught young, but nowadays these children they mentally they grow up when they like 18, 19, 20, man. Not even that. Most of them later on, like in their mid 20s, man. Because why? Their parents ain't instructing them right, man, how to live life. You know. So those girls drinking shots in the back room, it's not a sin or something like that. But if they're already doing that, meanwhile the rest of the children they just normally go to school. They might eat some candy or something like that, sneak candy in the bathroom, ship snacks or something, but not drinking shots. If these Jake females already do that, you know, then they doing other shit as well, man. Probably sleeping with a bunch of dudes, man. You know that this what happens, man. You know, and those are unprofitable children because they will bring nothing but shame upon your household, man, upon you. You know, but the parents are to blame actually for it. You know, because they ain't being instructed the right way. So let me read Sirach 16 again. Desire not a multitude of unprofitable children, neither delight in ungodly sons. Right? Don't delight in them, man. Sons or daughters. You know, if they're unprofitable for you, like wait, let me look up the word unprofitable real quick. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, unprofitable. Right, unprofitable, useless, of no value, unworthy, producing no gain. You see? No value, man. And that's exactly what unprofitable children are. They bring no value to your life, to your household. All they bring is shame, man. You know, a child's supposed to bring value to your life, help you when you older, take care of their parents when they're older, stuff like that, you know, prolong the seed line, but your sons then and your daughter should just basically get a husband, you know, and also produce children, right, for that husband. But the point is, don't desire unprofitable children, man. They're useless, you know. If you have a multitude of children, or if you want a multitude of children, well, hey, it's not wise nowadays, especially the times that we're heading into. But hey, the Most High gives you, the Most High eventually decides what happens, man. So if you have a lot of children, just make sure to instruct them the right way, man. According to the scriptures. Stick to the scriptures, man. That's the most important thing. Verse 2, though they multiply, rejoice not in them. Right? Don't multiply because you have like 2, 3 children, 4 children, 5 children. Don't rejoice at that. Except they fear the Lord Yahweh Shemashai. Except the fear of the Lord Yahweh Shemashai be with them, right? So don't rejoice in them unless they fear Yahweh Shemashai. Then you rejoice in them, and then you're happy. Trust not thou in their life, neither respect their multitude. For one that is just is better than 1,000. Let me read it again. Trust not thou in their life, neither respect their multitude. For one that is just is better than 1,000, and better is it to die without children than to have them that are ungodly. You see? So, showing you then again, if you have children and they fear Yahweh Shemashai, good, Yapa, beautiful. But if you have children that don't fear Yabashim Shai, then it's useless, man. Then it's better that you didn't even have children because they're useless. They bring no value to your life, you know. And sadly, the society that we live in now, you can have a child, right? But your ex-wife is a demon and keeps your child away from you, you know? And now you can't instruct that child anymore like how to live according to the ways of Yahweh Shem Yashai, you know, because Satan is upon your ex-wife and stuff like that. This happens multiple times, man. You know, this happened multiple times, but this is just what we gotta go through in this truth, you know? This is just what we gotta go through in this truth. And matter of fact, I'm gonna read that real quick. I believe it was in Matthew, you know, because you have to be prepared to forsake all, man. Just like how the disciples who later became apostles, the disciples of Yahushua that later became apostles, how they forsook everything, man. Let me see. This Matthew chapter 19 and verse 27. Then answered Peter and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? And Yahushua said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me, in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Right? So Peter, the disciple Peter, was basically like, Lord, we have forsaken all, you know? We have forsaken all, you know? Wife, kids, land, wealth, riches, house, parents, you know? Your parents disown you because they don't like that you're preaching the word, or your wife or your children or whatever the case may be, right? Well, verse 29. And everyone that had forsaken houses or brethren or sisters or fathers, so like your father or mother, or wife or children or lands for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life. But many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Right? So you're gonna receive 100-fold what you lost, man. You're gonna receive that back 100-fold as long as you believe in Yahweh Shem Yashai. You know, as long as you keep doing the work, as long as you keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. You know, that's the point. But like I said, this generation is just wicked, man. You know, this generation is just wicked, and it's getting worse and worse, man. These gremlins that Eve is creating is getting worse and worse, man. You know. So this 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 1, and you know they disrespectful as hell. You know, that ratchet behavior, man. Let me look up that word real quick. Matter of fact, I couldn't find the word ratchet. Let me look up the word degenerate. Degenerate. Having lost or suffered impairment to the qualities proper to the race or kind, right? Our nation, we have become a degenerate plant, like the scripture says in Isaiah, man. Because we supposed to be, and we were a beautiful plant. We were beautiful in the sight of Yahweh Shem Yashai. You know, we were wholly separate from all the other peoples upon planet Earth. You know, but we have fallen from grace, basically. You know, as a nation. Now you see our women walking as harlots on the streets. You know, having no shame. The men sagging their pants. You fucking 50 years old, 55, 45, 40, 30, 35, 25, 20 years old, 18-year-old still sagging your fucking pants, man. You know? A man shouldn't be sagging no pants, man. Why are you showing ass? Sodomy spirit, man. You know? But nowadays in our culture, in our so-called culture, right, in the black so-called culture, well, let me just say, as Jake, that Jake community, or not even community, fuck the community, in the Jake culture, it's being made popular, right, to sack your past and stuff like that. But it's a degenerate thing, and it's a degenerate mindset as well. Look, to be inferior to one's ancestors, to become unlike one's race or kind, fall from ancestral quality, and that's exactly what happened, man. So with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashim Yashai Bashim Akakadash, the ones that else and apostle great millstone, shalom to the elect. Hope this video was edifying, shalom.